All right, good morning. Today we are going through lesson 7.2.4, which we're still really just looking at these proofs of triangles to be able to verify other things. So, what it says today is we're going to continue to look at more quadrilaterals, some that we've already looked at, but we're looking at all of this through the lens of these congruent triangles. Okay? And that's the key today, is really having a good understanding of that chapter 6 congruent triangles to be able to make some conclusions. So today you are looking at just 3 different problems and creating 3 different proofs to be able to do so. So it says your task for each situation below, determine how congruent triangles can tell you more information about the shape. Then prove your conjecture using a flowchart. Be sure to provide a reason for each statement. For example, stating measure of angle A is equal to measure of angle B is not enough. You have to give a reason, okay? Such as because vertical angles are equal, or they're given in the diagram, or etc. Okay, and we've done this here. This should be starting to be reviewed. We're just getting more and more and more work on these, okay? So we're not going to actually create a poster today. What you are doing is working on these with these flowcharts for each one. So I am going to hope that you pause this, take about 5-10 minutes for each one of these, and see what you can do with these, because we have a test coming up next week that you're going to have to be able to do a lot of these types of proofs. So I'll read this first one and then again pause probably 5 to 10 minutes to be able to create this flowchart. So it says in chapter 1, you use the symmetry of an isosceles triangle to show that the base angles must be congruent. How can you prove this result using congruent triangles? Okay, so assume that angle or measure AB is equal to CB. With your team or on your own, decide how to split ABC into 2 triangles that can show the congruent of angle BAC to BCA. So pause here, and we'll give you a few minutes here to do so. So our goal with this is that angle A is congruent to angle C. Okay? So we're going to draw our line down through the middle here. That's not very middle, but hopefully you get the idea. Okay? And here's then kind of the flow proof that we have. And I'm going to write pretty small here to get it to fit in. So we know that AB is congruent to CB. This is given. Okay? We know BD is equal to, I guess we could label this D here. BD, this is the reflexive, or that shared side. And both of these we should be pretty familiar with. Okay? Now, this part we maybe wouldn't know, but we know that we just made a bisector. So we'll say BD bisects angle ABC. Okay? Therefore, and this was the line we drew. Okay? Then, if we know that it bisects, we know angle ABD is congruent to angle CBD. Okay? So we have, this was our reflexive property. We know this is equal. And we just said this is equal to this. So now I can make my conclusion that triangle ABD is congruent to triangle CBD. How do we know this? This is side, angle, side congruency. And if we know that our triangles are congruent, we know angle A is congruent to angle C, because congruent triangles have congruent Okay? So that would be that first one. Again, I want you to pause, get that all written down, and then I want you to try the second one. Hopefully you can start building your skills here as we do it. So letter B then says, what can congruent triangles tell us about the diagonals and angles of a rhombus? Examine the diagram of the rhombus on the right. With your team, decide how to prove the diagonals of a rhombus bisect the angle. That is, prove that ABD is congruent to CBD. So if you haven't done that yet, again, give it a shot. Again, it might be helpful to kind of write our goal. Our goal is we want angle ABD to be congruent to angle CBD. Okay? So, we know that ABCD is a rhombus. This is given to us. Okay? So, we know then that AB is equal to BC, which is equal to CD, which is equal to AD. All of our side lengths are equal. This is definition of rhombus. Okay? We also know, if we look at the triangles, that BD is equal to BD. This is my reflexive property. Okay? So I'm just going to mark this. I know all my side lengths are equal, and I know my shared side on my triangle is equal. So, we then know that triangle ABD is congruent to triangle CBD by side, side, side congruency. And then we should be able to finish it out that angle ABD is congruent to angle CBD as congruent triangles have congruent parts. So that one I actually think maybe is a little easier. Okay? Again, make sure you get it all written down. And then the last one that we're going to look at today, and here we finally have a little bit of room to do so. Okay, it says, what can congruent triangles tell us about the diagonals of a rectangle? Examine the rectangle on the right using the fact that opposite sides of rectangles are parallel, which we did in last lesson, I think. Prove that the diagonals of the rectangle are congruent. That is, prove that AC is equal to BD. So our goal for this one is that AC is congruent to BD. So again, pause, take a little bit of time, and see if you can do this one. So this one here, again, we're starting with ABCD is a rectangle. That is given. Okay? So off of that, we know that DC is congruent to CD, or DC. DC. Okay, which is maybe seems weird to write, but this is still a reflexive property. So we said this is equal to itself. Okay. We also know that angle ADC and angle BCD are right angles. And this is, again, really definition of rectangle. So let's just make sure we're talking about the same thing. We have ADC, this angle here, okay, and BCD, this angle here. Okay? Next one. We know that AD is congruent to BC. And we know that opposite sides of a just said AD, this one here, is equal to BC. Now we're actually ready to know our triangles are congruent, but it's a little bit hard to see which ones. I'm saying ADC, this one here, okay, is congruent to BCD. So DC is my shared side. So we have our right angles. Okay. So I have triangle ADC is congruent to triangle BCD. Pause here, see if you can tell why or which of our shortcuts. This is side, angle, side congruency. And then lastly, we know then that BD is congruent to AC by, again, triangles or congruent triangles have congruent parts. So hopefully you're becoming more and more familiar with these types of proofs and are starting to become more and more comfortable. Again, I would say these are not necessarily easy, but hopefully your geometric knowledge is starting to grow. So today, your homework, let me just a second here. Your homework is 7-83 to 7-89. Look for a homework quiz. Otherwise, this week has been very light on homework quizzes, which then makes for a very good time to, we'll say, look for missing homework quizzes, which a lot of you have. All right? This would be a good week to get caught up on those. Have a good weekend, and good luck with the homework.